trying to be really still right now so that this butterfly might land on me. Oh my gosh, it landed on me. That was a cool garden moment. I keep telling myself, it's normal. It's normal. It's normal to walk out and see a healthy plant just the day before, you know, just thriving, all of a sudden attacked and on its last limb, literally. It's normal to walk out after a regular summer storm and see literally plants snapped in half. Okay. Yep, it's normal. Gotta tell myself this, Plants might not be flowering and might not be producing because it is hot. It is pushing 100 degrees. Yes, gotta tell myself that. Don't give up and don't let it get the best of you. Just know that this is the time that your gardening skills are pushed to the limits. Your brain is pushed to the limits. Not everything is a win. In this video, I'm going to do a garden tour and I'm also going to talk about the not so pretty side of gardening. Let's do it. So I have this dwarf blue lake kale that has just sprouted, and the reason why I'm sprouting this is because my old red Russian kale, it is literally on its last limb. I'll show you. It's kind of pitiful looking. I do prefer the kale like this, the dwarf blue lake kale, because it's all ruffled and I feel like it's better for salads. It holds your salad dressing and things like that a lot better. I think it's better for eating raw personally. That's what I prefer. In my opening trellis, I have the China Jade cucumber. They are doing really well so far. I'm trying to make sure that I give them extra water every day and extra nutrients. Right now, they don't look like they're yellowing or anything like that. I have gotten all of my carrots to a place where we can harvest them at our leisure. So what I did is I planted carrots every 2 weeks or so. That way I could have them constantly just ready whenever we wanted to eat with them. So my Black Nebula carrots are definitely ready to harvest, which is super exciting. I've already cooked with a few of them, and literally just touching them, there's like purple carrot juice like all over my fingers, like dyeing them like a beet would. Really high in antioxidants, lots of really good health benefits. And I also have my carnival carrots too. I'm sitting here in one of my flower beds, and I have all of these nice zinnias that are growing. So you might not know this, but zinnias do grow really, really fast. So if you have like a new area in your garden that you want to fill up with flowers, I would definitely recommend zinnias. They look really, really pretty, and the colors are really fun and neon. So those are going really good. And also my sunflowers I've planted in this bed are like 12-15 feet high right now, which is amazing. This year I've had a really hard time with growing beets. Usually it's not that difficult, but I think it's also just because it's super hot right now. Things aren't germinating as easily as I've said before. So I just gave it a go again. I planted some more seeds for my beets. I only have a handful of them growing right now. So I'm hoping to give it one more shot before I try to put something else in this bed, because it also could just mean like they don't like this bed. It just doesn't do well. I'm here next to my green stock garden planter. I have recently moved all of my strawberry plants into my green stock just because they do really well just hanging over the side and making sure that the strawberries don't rot. I had them in a raised bed that was doing really, really well, but a lot of the strawberries were rotting just because it was hard to find them. They were hidden. They were just going more rogue, basically. So on to some of the not so pretty sides of what's going on right now in the garden. My sugar baby watermelon plant has lots of kind of browning and dying off leaves. I know it's not a nutrient deficiency because I fertilize regularly and make sure that they're watered, you know, regularly. It's all on a timer. I'm not sure if it's some type of like a disease or if it's just a matter of like the sun. I'm gonna have to look into that, but it's definitely looking really pitiful. I still have watermelons on there that seem to be doing okay, and the spaghetti squash is also not doing good. And I think with that, it's a combination of the sun and the heat, as well as like caterpillars or something like that. So recently I bought BT, which is intended to kill caterpillars. It's an organic bacteria that will kill them. So I bought that so I can start spraying that around the garden, and I'm trying to also apply neem oil on a regular basis too. So sometimes people will ask me, you know, oh, your garden's doing so well and how are you getting so much? I don't have a green thumb, I can't grow anything. And what they're not seeing is the things that don't work. So what I recommend is if there's something that you really enjoy eating or really enjoy growing, plant too much of that thing, and chances are is something's gonna work out. So that's the logic that I'm using with planting a new kind of round of squash and zucchinis every 2 to 3 weeks during the squash vine borer season, which is just that season where those moths will kind of destroy those plants. So yeah, that's what I would recommend, is just continue to plant in new locations. I'm sitting next to my Trinidad scorpion pepper plant. There's actual peppers on it and they're about ready to pick. I don't know if you can see that. I'll show a close-up. I'm a little afraid of these peppers because they are the 3rd hottest pepper in the world. I don't even know what I'm going to do with them. I thought it was more of like a challenge to grow because I read online that these plants only produce like a few of them. I thought it was because like they're so hot and it just takes so much effort. But these plants are actually producing like a lot of peppers. So I need to figure out what I can do with these peppers to make use of them. I might actually dehydrate them and make it into like a spicy powder to spice up a meal, of course. Here are my soybean plants. So far so good. I'm hoping to be able to make like some edamame kind of appetizers with them, and yeah, they're just doing really happy and good right now. It's in full sun. These are in full sun, so they haven't gotten too burnt from the heat yet. Sitting here next to my grow boxes, I don't know if you can see the tomatillo plants that are in here. I'll do a close-up on them. They're growing really fast. I knew they were going to do well in these grow boxes, and the reason why I planted my tomatillos in here is because I know that they are really sensitive, at least in my experience and what I've seen a lot of people also talk about online. You would think that tomatillos would be kind of similar to a tomato plant, at least that's what I thought, as far as their hardiness, but they're really susceptible to pest. I don't know why pests are so attracted to them, but they are. I'd love to have some amazing like salsa verde made from scratch at home, of course. With tomatillos, you need to have at least 2 of them so that they can cross-pollinate. Keep that in mind if you are growing those. Another not so pretty side of gardening right now is my tomato plants. They're not flowering a lot because it's so hot. I think the plants are kind of in like just survival mode basically. So I'm not seeing as many flowers on the plants at all, especially when the temperatures get to 100+ degrees. And any tomatoes that are like on the verge of ripening right now, they're splitting because of the heat and everything. So that's the hard part about gardening right now in the summertime, which is why I have new rounds of tomato plants already sprouting and hopefully gonna grow into big plants for the fall time. Now that the temperatures are in the like 90-degree range as opposed to the 100-degree range, that we'll see more flowering and more fruiting production basically on all of our plants. The tomatoes took a pretty hard hit, I would say, in comparison to like the eggplants and other things that I have in the garden, which is surprising. I'm sitting here next to my cantaloupe plants, which are hanging on for dear life. I started to sow these seeds in March. I had one cantaloupe that was starting to grow and looked so beautiful, and a little caterpillar had its way with it, unfortunately, and then I think a squirrel kind of finished it off. So this plant, what's interesting about it is that it looks like for both of them, they've kind of died off at some point, but now they have really tiny regrowth coming in, which is pretty interesting to me, and the other plant is looking really healthy. So when I was just at the verge of pulling these out, now I'm gonna leave them in because it seems like they're kind of defeating the odds and really trying their best to reproduce and do well. So I'm sitting here next to my eggplants. They're doing so well. I have so many eggplants growing. I'm gonna have to start figuring out how to use all of these and not let them go to waste. But it's nice to be able to grow like a hardy vegetable that isn't just like a tomato, because tomatoes are awesome to grow and I do feel fortunate to have so many of them. but it's nice to have a different option to cook with for like a whole meal basically. So eggplants, there's so many amazing recipes for them, so it's super exciting to have a lot of them. And what I wanted to say is last year I tried to grow eggplants and I didn't get any of them. The ants just had their way with it, and for a lot of people, they might grow something and get super frustrated and think, you know, I can't grow this vegetable in my garden, and my garden's just not suited for X vegetable, basically. I would never recommend not attempting to grow something again just because it didn't work one season, especially if it's a vegetable that you really like. Try again, try different methods, different pest control methods, because you never know what season is going to work and what method actually works. So that's my little spiel on don't give up if something didn't work the year before, because now I have like an abundance of eggplants, and last year I had none. So one unfortunate thing that happened after a big storm was one of our wooden tomato trellises snapped. That definitely freaked me out. I ran out here to see how bad the damage was. I was assuming that we were going to have lost all of the tomato plants that were on that trellis, but everything's fine. I ended up perching the plant up with a rake. As soon as the season's over and these plants are done, we're gonna have to take this wooden tomato trellis out. These are some of my new zucchini plants. I did have lettuce here. I was giving it a go. I always try, although I know it's gonna be really bitter. I'm planting these zucchinis here because it's a lot more shaded and it gets a lot more water right here. I'm just gonna test it out to see if the shaded area possibly works better than a full sun area. I am so excited to say that we have some bell peppers growing. I don't know if you can see in the camera right now, but I'll do a close-up. We have lots of bell peppers that are starting to flower and grow. Peppers can be really, really challenging for a lot of people. It's hard for me sometimes as well. I don't know why. They need a lot of nutrients, a lot of sun, a lot of water. These seeds were actually just from a pepper from the store. People do have a hard time with germinating pepper seeds, which is definitely why I would recommend is just to get a pepper from the store, whatever pepper that you plan to grow, and just get the seeds out and put them in your garden. That's where I've had the best germination, is just using seeds from a fresh pepper. On my way to Home Depot the other day, I was talking to my husband and explaining to him how it's always been my dream to grow our own pumpkin patch at our house so that our son can pick his own pumpkin from our house, the ones that we've grown. And wouldn't that be like a really cool experience to have family over and everybody to kind of come and celebrate that harvest and do like a little harvest party. And I was like, how many days is it until Halloween? Because I know most of these pumpkins require 125 days to harvest, from seed to harvest. I put it in to Google and it said 131 days last week. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to get my butt in gear and plant these pumpkins like right now. I thought I had until mid-July. Obviously I wasn't doing my math right, to start sowing these seeds, and come to find out I had to do it in mid-June to have these pumpkins ready by Halloween. I got some Easy Grow Monster seeds and they've already sprouted. It only took about 5 or 6 days for those to sprout. I also ordered some sugar pie pumpkin seeds so that we can actually have pumpkins to make some amazing pumpkin pies with. That would be just such a great feeling. I'm going to be trellising my sugar pie pumpkins on my cattle panel trellis, because who doesn't want to walk underneath like a whole bunch of little pumpkins during the fall time? So that's what I'm planning on doing. I've already started to make steps to get this pumpkin patch underway. Also growing these golden wax beans too. I love different color beans and everything to cook with, and some gray zucchini. So I'm sitting here next to some of my velvet sunflowers. Each one of these plants has tons and tons of sunflower heads. I've seen online where some people actually consider these to be invasive, which I feel like basically any plant that has seeds in it, its goal is going to be to try to reseed itself. So I don't think that it's going to be any different than like a traditional sunflower as far as how it's attempting to reseed itself. But it comes back year after year. I don't have to do anything, and there's more butterflies on this particular plant than any of my other flower plants. Tons of bees. It makes my pollinators happy, which means that it is welcome in the garden. I'm here at my big bed, which hasn't been doing too well lately. The new soil that we got, it wasn't super rich in any type of nutrients, so I had to add some garden tone to it, some worm castings, and also my chickens bedding. I added that along with their poop. I planted some tomatoes in here that immediately weren't doing well. As soon as I planted them in here, they were turning yellow and the growth was stunted, so I knew there was a problem. But ever since I've done that, added those garden tone and all that different type of stuff to the bed, everything's doing a whole lot better. I have very high hopes for this bed because it's massive. I also planted some sunflowers, some radishes, and some 2 different varieties of carrots, a yellow carrot and a scarlet carrot, as well as I'm hoping to plant some cabbage as soon as the temperature gets a little bit nicer. I started these seeds back in March, and the first of this particular plant, the Charapita Pepper, is ready to harvest. I didn't even realize that until I just walked by right now. They are supposed to be a really expensive ingredient in, I think it's Peru. I'll put it right here. I'll look it up and put it right there. But they're supposed to be a super expensive ingredient that lots of top chefs love to cook with. They're one of the world's smallest peppers, which if you know me, you know I love growing the world's tiniest things. I mean, who doesn't love little tiny things? I'm going to give this little itty bitty pepper a taste try and let you know how it is. I don't know what to expect right now. Will it be spicy? Will it be surprisingly sweet? I know, but they are surprisingly tiny and extremely adorable. Wow. Okay. It's spicy. For this tiny pepper, I was not expecting that. It's not sweet. It's not very sweet at all. This packs a little pepper punch. I'm absolutely obsessed with this. My mind is going wild on how I can use this. The most perfect pepper garnish ever. Absolutely in love with it. Now I get what all the hype is about with these Charapita Peppers. Just in case you're new here and you haven't seen my Buena peppers, just wanted to show them off really quick. They're going strong, doing super well. I will definitely be growing these next season because they go from seed to harvest super quick. It was my first pepper that was ready to harvest in about 90 days exactly, which is awesome. Most of my other pepper plants, it's taken about 4 months, definitely, to go from seed to harvest. So just wanted to kind of throw these in there. They're absolutely beautiful and very tasty. I figured while I'm in the process of punishing myself and testing out peppers, I would try my Sugar Rush peppers, which I actually haven't tried yet. So I have my Sugar Rush peppers right here. I don't know if they're sweet. I'm sure they're spicy. And I just want to give them a quick try so that I can kind of figure out how I'm going to use them inside. Those are so sweet. Really, really sweet. Hardly spicy at all. Definitely nothing in comparison to that tiny little ají pepper that I just tried. Yeah, these are really, really good. They're actually kind of similar to like a bell pepper, like as far as like the heat index, a teensy bit spicier, but a lot sweeter. Which if you're looking for a sweet pepper to pickle or anything like that, yeah, this is the pepper for you. So I have my spoon tomato plant. Here are the spoon tomatoes. I know a lot of you guys have heard me talk about these before, so I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time on it, but they make the perfect garnish. My son loves walking up to these and just eating them like candy. He just keeps picking them like crazy, and the plant is super, super abundant. You're going to have more tomatoes than you know what to do with them. I made some sourdough pizza crust the other day and put these on top to top them off. It was just so good, so good. So I definitely recommend adding these to your garden if you have never grown them before. I'm standing underneath my watermelon cattle panel trellis right now. It's doing okay because of the heat. It's definitely not like flowering and reproducing like I would hope for it to, which is one of the downsides, not too pretty sides of gardening right now in the summer, is just that really high heat. It's affecting everything's like reproduction basically, but it is growing, and I'm hoping that we'll see some watermelons pretty soon. Well, that wraps up my garden tour for the mid-summer, and if there's anything that you guys want to see in particular, definitely be sure to drop it in the comment section below. Any type of farm to table recipe ideas, or just garden things that you want some more information on. I would say don't let the summertime get the best out of you. It's normal to not have a perfect garden. It's normal to have failures. Just keep that in mind. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like, and I really appreciate you guys watching. Until next time.